Okay, so great to have all of my colleagues over here in front of me. And so I just to give a very brief introduction about myself. My name is Yash Dhingra. I am a scientist D working for the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team. So usually when I go deliver talks, the first thing I ask is, do you know what CERT-In actually is? And in a lot of places, because I happen to go to myriad of places where I have to deliver talks. So in quite a few of the places, actually, they don't even know the name. Over here, should I be asking that question in this audience? Okay, so how many of you know what CERT-In actually is? Yeah, good. Good to see that quite a few people over here know about it. Because otherwise, outside the cybersecurity domain, whenever I ask this question, I expect not many people to raise their hands. And that is, if a lot of people raise their hands, that's like something that I would be scared of. Because for a government department, if people know your name, that's a very bad thing. Especially for like non-public dealing departments. Because if you're doing your job well, nobody will know about you. At least that's what our mandate is. We have to work on the sidelines or behind at the backstage or behind the curtain. So if people know about us, then that's a problem. But of course, not in this gathering over here, I would expect as many people to know about us as possible, and that would make me happy, right? So actually coming to Hyderabad itself, it's a very happy feeling for me. This happens to be my second home. I'm actually from Delhi, but my first workplace was over here. I worked in Microsoft for 2 years. So I've lived here for quite a long time. And so coming here feels like homecoming every time, especially with the weather that is right now. So I welcome you all on behalf of the organizers also, because I am the first one to speak. So I am actually I've been a part of CERT-In since the last 9 years now. And I am actually a part of the incident response team, and I also look at the mobile security aspect of things. So for today, just to set the ball rolling in the hall, I'll be talking about going with the theme of the conference itself. So we are talking about 2030, what we are expecting in the future. So that's what mostly I'll be talking about, but I'll start with what is happening right now. So I think just to set that context. So I've labeled it as cyber defense, present and future, bracket mein tense. Now that I look at it, seems like I've done it, looks like AI generated or something, although it's not. But I had to work on this at 3 a.m. because I had a pretty long day yesterday. So probably that's why. Anyways, so I'll just move forward. Yeah. So I'll start with maybe the bad news, what we have been facing. Right. So India records over 265 million cyber attack attempts. Right. So of course, that's a number that we have published. That's our number, and that's what was captured in the news. So not a very happy thing, of course. Right. CERT-In warns WhatsApp web desktop users of large-scale malware campaign. All of us use WhatsApp, right? Of course, all of us are affected by all of this. And this is something, these are very recent news articles. It's 26th of June. So, of course, this is still active, you can assume. So, what these guys were doing is earlier they used to send APK files, but with a lot of advancements and with, Google Play Protect and a lot of things that Android has done, they have stopped sending the number of APK files that have been circulating through WhatsApp. That has, I think, kind of reduced to some extent. So now they started the new thing, because a lot of people are leveraging the desktop and Windows applications specifically. So now these fraudsters have started sending VB scripts. So you'll open it on your desktop, you'll receive that script, you just click on it and your machine is compromised. So that's a new vector that we have noticed. Okay, India's Bank of Baroda confirmed cyber incident after hackers claim data theft. So anybody customer of Bank of Baroda over here? Oh, quite a few, quite a few. Okay. So of course, if it can happen with Bank of Baroda, it can happen with your bank as well, right? Okay, so your battery is watching the cybersecurity warning for India in stalled e-rickshaws. So anybody of you know about what happened? Okay, some of you don't know because this was a rage in Delhi. Like there was a huge meme fest on this entire, weeks and weeks. Just 14 days, people were just engrossed in this small little prank. So for those of you who are not, don't have an idea about this, so you must have seen these battery-powered rickshaws somewhere. Are they? I'm not sure. I've not seen them in Hyderabad, but they are in very sizable number in Delhi and in other cities as well. So the battery that powers these rickshaws happen to be imported, and along with the battery, there is something called a BMS or a battery management service. So any of you, if you're driving e-vehicles, you would be knowing about it. So for managing the battery, the temperature, the charging and everything, you need something called a BMS, right? So of course, these e-rickshaws are also embedded with a chip which has this BMS tool loaded onto it. But the problem was that the tool itself was not configured properly. So it had a Bluetooth module which was required because if you had to figure out what the battery percentage of your rickshaw is, and if you wanted to stop the charging, stop the discharging, there are quite a few controls in it. And same thing goes for your e-vehicles also. Any of you driving electric cars or two-wheelers or something? I saw quite a few of them in Hyderabad. So just one person now. But this is going to be like pretty common across in a few years. Maybe especially with the rising fuel prices and everything, you'll see more and more electric vehicles. So this BMS was very interesting. It had a Bluetooth module embedded in it, and there was an app created by the original Chinese supplier. So what they did was, instead of configuring the Bluetooth, thinking that they don't even know their battery is going to be used in rickshaws in India because it's like a generic thing, you can use it anywhere. So what they did is they did not configure the Bluetooth module well. So there's a configuration in the Bluetooth module the name is Just Works configuration. I'm not kidding, that's the name. It's called Just Works, which means you just put in the Bluetooth module and anybody can just scan their Bluetooth devices nearby, tap on that name and they'll be connected, and you can do anything with that device. So most of you would be using those Bluetooth earphones, right? All of you, anybody not used it? How do you pair that device? How do you pair it? Anybody volunteering? Yeah? Search the device and then? But how do you put the device into pairing mode? There's a button, exactly. So you long press that button. First you open the lid, then you long press the button. It glows in the white light. That's when you know it says entered into the pairing mode. Then you search on your phone, click on the name of that device, and then you get in, right? But these BMS modules, they did not have that. They had no pairing button as such. They just kept on being in the pairing mode forever. So you could just walk up to close to that e-rickshaw, which they overload themselves, of course. So they, instead of seating 6 people as they are designed for, or maybe 4 people as they are designed for, they are overloaded with 10 people, and then someone just walks up close to them, searches for just scans their Bluetooth, connects to that. That app is open, downloaded from it's downloaded from the Play Store. So there is a button for stop discharging. So you flick that switch and the rickshaw just stops midway in between on the road. So people were like absolutely going crazy, especially the Instagram and YouTube influencers and all. They were creating videos and memes and whatnot. This was like a huge rage, and of course when we had to look at it, just imagine someone who's working in cybersecurity. Seems like a white collar job, of course it is, but just imagine running after rickshaws just to figure out whether the Bluetooth is showing up. Of course, I did not disable it, or we were just experimenting whether it even shows up, and we found out that it was true, right? So, kind of a funny experience. Okay, so this is like in other news, which says Mighty probes Chinese battery app after viral e-rickshaw shutdown prank videos raise safety concerns. Okay. So student allegedly hacks IIT Kanpur and Madras websites after being rejected from getting admission. So again, funny thing, but yeah, quite a sad thing that this can happen to our premier institutions also. Okay, so Operation Sindoor, government digital infrastructure faced 75% of the cyber attacks. Operation Sindoor, I think everybody knows about it. So the war was not just along the front lines. Of course, along the digital lines, the war kept on going even after the missiles had stopped firing. And the target is more on the government installations and infrastructure. Right. Okay, so Kudankulam nuclear power plant data breach. So I mean, when I look at this news, do you see the scale of things? From a e-rickshaw plank, when I have to run after rickshaws on the road, and then escalating directly to a nuclear power plant. I was amazed by the scale of things that are happening around us, and they fall within the domain of our work, right? In the domain of cybersecurity. Okay. So enough with the bad news, I guess. So I'll talk about something that as CERT-In what we have been up to and what we have been doing. So CERT-In, as most of you I think know, is the national nodal agency for cybersecurity in India. And we have other agencies also, but we are the apex body, the nodal agency, and secondly we are the citizen-facing organization. So we are a 24/7 organization, and we operate in shifts: morning, evening, night, weekend. And the 15th August is also coming up. That's no holiday for us, of course. That's like a extra work day for us, right? You can imagine. So, being the apex body, of course, we have to collaborate with a lot of organizations, a lot of people around, not just in India, but outside India also. So you can see that CERT-In is in the center, but on the sides we have service providers, which is your Airtels, Jios and whatnot, and then academia, your people like you from the industry, individual users, all of us, including me, of course. And industry associations. I've named DSCI, but of course we are here for the National Cybersecurity Research Council. So we collaborate with all such organizations, and then now we are trying to nurture more CERTs. So CSIRT is Cybersecurity Incident Response Teams. So these are like smaller organizations modeled on the CERT framework itself. So just like CERT is the nodal agency for cybersecurity in India, we are trying to nurture other smaller CERTs for different sectors, like for finance, for power sector, and other critical sectors as well. And of course, the ultimate aim is that all the different states should have their own CSIRTs themselves for their own domain, at least for the state government's tasks that have to come up in relation to cybersecurity. We are trying to nurture the states' CSIRTs as well. So apart from that, so CERT is not like the name Computer Emergency Response Team is not a name that we have invented. It's like something. It's something that is standard across the globe. So we have collaborations with all the different international CERTs as well. So we received a lot of telemetry. We receive incident reports, and a lot of analysis and all of alerts from all across the globe, not just from India. So that's what our collaboration is. And these are some of these are our activities. I've just put them into 3 different buckets. So first one is the reactive bucket, the 24/7 incident response that we run, cyber forensics lab. So we also We also run the CSERT for finance and power sectors operations. We have within our same office. We coordination for with all the state certs that's I've already spoken about it. So this is like the reactive thing. Means something goes wrong, and this is the firefighting job. So that's where I've been for the last 9 years in the incident response team, always on the firefighting job. Pretty tiring, but that's how it is. But to prevent the fires from breaking up, I mean, in the first place, so that's what the proactive task is for, so that the incident response team has to do the least work. The proactive bucket is for that. So Cyber Swachhata Kendra is like our botnet and malware cleaning center. So that's like a free initiative. Any organization can onboard onto it, and we have an automated system which scans the Indian cyberspace for vulnerable services, open ports, and everything, and they shoot an email to you in an automated manner if something goes wrong. We have situational awareness through National Cyber Coordination Center, through which we get telemetry of the entire flow of data that is happening within the Indian cyberspace. Then we have a threat exchange, CERT-In's malware threat exchange. So we have threat feeds organizations can actually subscribe to. We do a lot of capacity building activities, and we do vulnerability coordination with a large number of organizations. And we are also CV numbering authorities. So not sure how many of you know it, but every vulnerability has to get an individual identifier. So CERT-In is also a CV numbering authority. We can assign a unique ID for any vulnerabilities that you might come across. You can report it to us. We coordinate it with the vendors or the OEM manufacturers. And if it is found to be valid, then we assign a valid CV for it. Right? So the last bucket is assurance. CCMP, Cyber Crisis Management Plan. So we have been tasked with, getting organizations to get this implemented, but of course it's not an easy task. We are a country of 150 crore people, and CERT-In is an organization of 150 odd people. So you know the ratio, you know the maths over there. And we do a lot of drills and exercises as well for mostly for government organizations, but sometimes for other agencies as well. And we empanel auditors so that we don't have to go everywhere and audit the infrastructure. Of course, we cannot. We are just, I told you, our strength. And we also come up with a lot of guidelines and directions, and especially in the past few years, we have come up with a lot of them. So I'll just talk about what has been happening. So you can see the most recent ones are guidelines for space, including satellite communications, AI accelerated vulnerability protection and response requirements, guidelines for secure application design development, right? Blueprint for reducing exposure and defending against AI assisted vulnerabilities. So these are very recent documents. And cybersecurity guidelines for smart city infrastructure. This is also fairly recent. Quantum cyber readiness. Then for MSMEs, there is a set of guidelines. We also come up with a ransomware report that is published every year, and audit policy guidelines. Okay, and then S-bomb, Q-bomb, C-bomb, AI bomb, H-bomb. A lot of bombs, right? Not sure if you guys know about it, but software bill of materials, quantum bill of materials, right? Crypto bill of materials, AI bill of materials. So what all infrastructure and what all equipments are in place in your organization, these documents will help you in putting them into the right buckets, at least with the correct people inside your organization, so that whenever there is a vulnerability which is reported, whenever there is a new breach which is reported, if you have these documents in place, if you have followed all these guidelines, it will be very not easy, but comparatively easier for you to actually follow the guidelines and to fix any vulnerabilities if there are in your own organization as well, right? And then the most important is this one: open, safe, and trusted and accountable internet. So these are the cybersecurity directions from 2022. Nobody has read them, I'm pretty sure. right? So this is mandatory, by the way. These are not guidelines, these are directions that everybody has to follow. Anybody who has read it? Okay. Yeah, so this is the sad part, the saddest part. So you guys have to read this document, and you at least your cybersecurity teams, at least your CISO should be knowing about this. The document mandates a lot of things. I'll just talk very briefly about the key aspects of it. So 180 days of mandatory logging for all IT infrastructure. That's mandatory, 180 days minimum. Beyond that, whatever you can afford, you can keep, but that's minimum that you have to maintain. And 6 hours of cybersecurity incident reporting timeline. 6 hours. So we're not expecting you to give us a PhD thesis on what cyber attack you have faced. A 2-line email would suffice that you're facing this cyber incident somewhere. Or if you notice someone else is facing it also, that's enough for us. Why that guideline is there for 6 hours? Any ideas? Correct. So within 6 hours, if one organization reports an attack to us, that one organization is not going to be the only one who is affected by it, right? It's possible that the same kind of attack might be happening in multiple other organizations within the same sector across India. That's what our main focus is, right? So if one organization reports to us within 6 hours, then another one reports to us in another few minutes, another one reports to us in another few minutes, we get a fairly good picture of what is happening. There could be 20 other organizations who would be on our contact list, and we could immediately tell them that this is an attack that might be happening. You may not be aware of it, but it's possibly happening on your organization as well. So this is like a collective responsibility that we have to take up as you know, being from the cybersecurity expertise domain. So this is like our community, this is like our responsibility that we have to take up, all of us, right? The first thing is, for any community, for any organization, or for any country, is that you have to build the guidelines and directions and documentation, right? We have been doing that. That's what our job is. But following it is also like, as a community, that's what our responsibility is, so that we can, as a community, we can improve the cyberspace of our country. If we don't follow it, this is not like something just to trouble people. This is like something that we have to collectively take up, and so that we can improve, right? So that's the last slide. The directions, guidelines, and everything are already in place. If you feel that something is missing, although I think I've exhaustively listed all of the stuff that we have been coming up with. I've thrown a lot of bombs into your hands to take up. But this is something that as a community we have to do. First we have to have the documentation, only then we can follow something, right? So that gives us a clear path of what all of us are supposed to do. But next, what is on the action side, where are we? Right, a lot of people are still not aware of these directions and guidelines. So these are all of these are available on our website. Of course, our website is free of cost. It's updated every day. It has all the latest content related to the cybersecurity landscape. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much. And these are our contacts: CERT-in.org.in, csk.gov.in, and incident at CERT-in.org.in. That's our email ID. That's monitored for 24/7. And so I've given you quite a few points. I see that I saw in the schedule that there are a lot of sessions built around sessions and panel discussions built around the next gen cyber threats and autonomous remediation and AI assisted cyber defense. So I leave you with that thought, and looking forward to a lot of good and engaging discussions and sessions around these topics that will be relevant in the future for the next few years. Thank you so much.